Hey, welcome to Dynasty WarGames. Here joined by Mike, Casper, and Clay, our guest here. I'm excited to be here. How about you guys?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, man.
It's a good off season. My wife asked me, does fantasy football ever end? And I said, absolutely not, babe. The train rolls on.
My wife hates Dynasty. She absolutely hates Dynasty. So I'm like peeking around corners, trying to make startup picks and, faking bowel movements. We've all done it, right?
Yeah. 30-minute bathroom trips, like 5 a day. My wife's like, you need to see a doctor? What's going on here?
If I was ever in a slow startup, my wife would just be like, what are you doing? What are you looking at on your phone? And I'm like, babe, I have no idea who to pick right now.
Oh man. Well, you got a problem when your boss keeps messaging you in meetings being like, is everything all right? And I'm like, it's all good. Just checking on, documents. But yeah, man. No, everything's great. So crazy off season, right?
Crazy week.
Man. Indeed, man.
This is crazy week. 2 weeks.
Yeah. We're pretty much just going to dedicate this episode to talking about it because, I mean, gosh, I feel like you can talk about this stuff for weeks. There's enough to last like 5 off seasons. I think. I mean, it's insane.
What was your initial reaction when you saw that Deshaun was going to Cleveland? What was your organic first response?
Gosh, just complete shock. I mean, honestly, I thought that the Falcons were locked up. I thought he was heading there. There were so many reports coming out and rumors and everything saying that that's where he was heading and it was only a matter of time. And then other reporters were coming out and saying fake news and, it's far from done. Right. But, I mean, I just thought that made so much sense for him to end up there. And, the news with Baker and everything happened. And then right after that, Cleveland or, somebody said that Cleveland was out of the running completely. Even after the whole Baker mess. So it's just been a mess. But I had no idea he would end up there. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, no, I didn't either. I kind of get it now, probably from a vaccines kind of thing is they probably didn't want to pay as much as they were asking, which honestly, like we can talk about this later. I don't think they paid as much as I thought they were going to get Watson. But when they backed out, they were like, hey, let's rebuild this thing with Baker. And then they slowly realized, I think, like, no, that bridge is burned. Mm-hmm. And, you got an aging running back. You don't have a whole lot on offense besides that at the moment.
Yeah.
So, I'm more kind of shocked that the Falcons, and maybe it'll come out later, I would have thought the Falcons would have offered more. I'm surprised no players were included in the deal was the big thing. But, whether it was who's there, what is his name? Is it Denzel Ward? Their corner or something like that. I just assumed some kind of young defensive player or something like that would have been included in the deal. So, but hey, like hats off to the Browns. I'm mad that he's staying in the AFC as a Broncos fan. Like I feel like the NFC is gonna be I don't know. It's like Tom Brady and
cakewalk to the Super Bowl. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. What about you, Clay?
For me, like the initial reaction was like gross. I just you think Cleveland, you don't think high flying offense, you think the weather, like outdoors. I was like, I wanted him to be inside, someplace, like Atlanta or whatnot, just sling the ball on turf. But I mean, it's a team that's ready to win. They're a strong team, on defense and whatnot. So I get it, and they gave him some money and. I guess, like you said, with Chubb's age and whatnot, they're kind of looking at their window here, and they're like, "Hey, man, let's roll, man. Let's make a move." But fantasy-wise, I mean, it's meh.
It's Donovan Peoples-Jones, like
DPJ
and Njoku, right? That was the one that I didn't realize was like I've been waiting for the Njoku breakout forever. So if it doesn't happen now, he's got no excuse.
Me too. I've got so much Njoku shares, it's ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, like with my Watson shares, I was like, okay, I'm glad he's not in prison currently, right? But yeah, it was kind of like initial reaction was gross though.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I understand it. I mean, it's one of those things like Deshaun Watson, as long as he's playing, I would expect that he's going to be, a high-end QB1, no matter where he is. I mean, he was doing it over in Texas, with the Texans there, and yeah, that was kind of gross. So, yeah, I mean, just I guess a continuation of that a little bit. At least he has a premier guy again in Amari Cooper, so that helps out a little bit.
Did you see the picture of Amari Cooper like in his locker? They had like a picture of him in his locker or with his uniform on or something after the trade, and he just looked depressed and terrible and just like completely dejected. And I was just
what have I done?
Oh man, like you guys didn't buy any shares low, did you, by chance? Because I have a feeling people were just trying to get off them.
No, but I didn't sell. So that at least I guess counts for something.
See, I had no shares, but I felt bad.
So was there a follow-up picture to where it's like looks like him when his first son or daughter was born? I mean, no transformation.
I didn't see it, but it reminded me of Jerry Jeudy when Aaron Rodgers signed and he just had the like depressed emoji, and then like hours later Wilson signs and or is traded, and it's just like yay.
Yeah. No, I think he thought he was like included in the deal to go over there, and he was like,
"Oh, you think?"
Yeah, he put the sad face because he thought he was. That's at least what I thought was happening. But
I thought it was right after Rodgers signed is when that one came out.
Oh, maybe so. But yeah, I couldn't keep up with everything, man. I was checking Twitter like every 20 minutes or so, and like it just felt like one after the other. What was the one thing that you guys were kind of most excited about? I guess bar Watson, right? Put him to the side.
I mean, for me, obviously, it's Russell Wilson as a Broncos fan, right?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it just made me super like these. I'm curious to see how many AFC West division games are primetime games come the fall.
It's going to be ridiculous, man.
I mean, we haven't even touched on Devonta Adams to the Raiders yet, right? So,
yeah.
And they have who's the Chandler Jones, right, to the Raiders. So, like, it's probably going to be whoever the fourth place team is going to be one of the best fourth team places in the league or teams in the league. So, I don't know. This will be really exciting to watch. I'm hoping the Broncos can get like Lyle Collins, who I know was released by the Cowboys recently. So I'm still waiting on some stuff. And if they can sign Bobby Wagner to kind of keep Gregory under arms and really be the leader of that defense, man, if we could get those two guys, I'd just be like, all right, let's turn the key on, give Russ the spatula, and let's get it done, right?
Yeah.
Nicely done. Yeah, it was good to see A-Rob to finally go to a good team with a good quarterback.
Yeah.
We had recorded a video. We'll talk about the show later, but recorded a video on A-Rob. We were kind of like trashing him a little bit. I wasn't as much, but anyway, this guy responded saying, "Oh, you look dumb now." It's like, well, I'm just happy for the guy. He's got a non-Blake Bortles quarterback, on a good team. Yeah, so that was good to see. And Juju, love me some Juju. Same thing, hoping there. So yeah, I won't steal the same good takeaways as you guys did. So I'll throw those in there.
Yeah, I guess the one that I'm those are pretty exciting moves, especially for A-Rob. Couldn't be happier for him. But the one that I'm like, man, it seems like it happened ages ago too, is Tom Brady. Like him just coming back. Like it seemed like it happened last year sometime.
Yep. I was out to dinner with my wife, and I saw like the alert come through. I was like, I have to go to the bathroom. She's like, again? I was like, yeah. I'll be right back. But go ahead, Chad.
Yeah. So I just like I bought him in like 2 different leagues after the retirement announcement, because I was like, man, like this doesn't feel right, and people were selling him for like 3rds and 4ths, and I was like, oh, what the hell, right? So on some of my top contenders, I went and bought him. When the news came through, I was like, oh man. I mean, kind of felt that Jerry Jeudy vibe a little bit, where I was like, oh, we're lit. So yeah, man, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun season with all these quarterbacks moving, the old guy coming back, and yeah, it's gonna be a season.
Yeah, I love it for Godwin, especially with him. He got his contract, right? Even if Brady's only there a year, but I think he's going to continue to do well. We're going to see what Lenny does, right? Yeah, and Evans. Lenny says he feels like he's a top 5 RB these past 2 years, so I'm wondering if he's just chasing the bag and kind of get his last payday and kind of doesn't care where he goes.
Yeah.
But I hope it's not like a Le'Veon Bell-esque one where he's like, well, I'm not getting offered enough money, so I'm not going to sign anywhere. And then he doesn't get anything because if he doesn't sign before the draft, man, like people are just going to take these, 4th, 5th round rookies and see what happens over Lenny, I feel like. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Lenny's playing with house money at this point. Like he was grinding on the Jags, and then he goes, hey, I'm all of a sudden with Tom Brady, and I'm a pass catching back now, and got his ring. He's just out there banging. He's playing with house money. So who knows what he's gonna do?
Yeah,
he's definitely a guy to watch. Maybe a guy that you can kind of get a little bit lower. If you have a contender that's really just needing that, depth at running back. I think at the very least he's going to find a role. I think what was it? The Ravens that I was talking about, I think could be a really good fit for him if he doesn't end up back in Tampa.
Did talk about that with the 1-2, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a place like that where he could even just be the second guy there, but play that kind of Mark Ingram backup role a little bit and still be pretty productive. I mean, I think that's kind of worst case scenario for a guy like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mitch Trubisky making a comeback, right? Over with the Steelers, finding a starting job. I mean, you guys are probably going to clown me a little bit. I'm super excited for this. Like,
really,
very excited. Yeah, because I mean, you got him for nothing, right? And I mean, he's a starting quarterback overnight. You're not going to sell him for a second round pick anymore because the ceiling is there, right? Like, even if he's just a mid tier quarterback, like a middle of the road QB 15, QB 18, QB 19. I mean, like, what's the point in giving him up for one of these guys that in this rookie draft? I mean, probably you're looking at second, third round draft capital kind of guys that are going to go for that price.
I'm curious what you think. From some of the regular podcasts and draft podcasts, I still feel like they're going to make a run at Malik Willis.
Like they may not be done with
like it's moves. Just with it being, and I get it being a 2-year, but I feel like it wasn't a ton of money. So it's kind of more of a smokescreen instead of going into the draft like, oh, well, they clearly need a quarterback. So like, either drive up the price if they're trying to trade up or, grabbing someone in front of them. So I'm really curious to see what happens at the draft. Cause I just don't know. Like, but I know Seattle at 9 is kind of like a rumored one going around now as these quarterback dominoes are falling, right? We still got to see what the Colts do and stuff. But I don't know. I'm definitely not on the Mitch train for sure. I mean, I don't know. I added him to Fields to get Lance on a total rebuild, which might have been a overpay considering 2 starting quarterbacks for 1. But I don't know. I just kind of wanted to get off.
Nice, right?
Ride the potential of it. So, but what are you thinking, Clay?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful too. I've always liked Trubisky. Hopefully he just runs the football. He's an athlete, man. Not try to be too cute, be too good of a quarterback. I'm a little bit worried about I guess I'm not too worried about Deontay as long as he's still getting 700 targets a game. He'll make his money. I'm not sweating that too much, but yeah, I'm looking forward to Mitch. But I agree. I don't necessarily think they're done. They didn't throw bags of money at him. Yeah, maybe they'll make a move in the draft or try to do something else in the offseason. But hey, rooting for Mitch. It would be interesting though if you were to be given an offer like, I will give you the 201 and insert some warm body quarterback, somebody with a pulse, or I'll give you the 201 and my 23 second. You give me Mitch Trubisky and a 22 third or 23 third, more than a second, but not a ton more.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
If he's my QB 4 or 5, I might say bye to that because this year in the Superflex, since the QB class isn't sexy, like you said, Chad, these guys could be getting day 2, day 3 draft capital. There's going to be some QBs that are going to be pushed down the board. So 201, it'll be, should I take random wide receiver 7-8 at that point, or should I take the QB3 of the class or whatnot? So I don't know. I might get out on Mitch at that price.
Yeah, that's an interesting one because it's I guess it's just one of those things, right? Like Mitch, for me, it depends on how many shares you have of him. Like if I have 1, I'm probably just sticking with him and seeing what happens. But me personally, I have like 6 or 7 shares just because he was a waiver wire ad, and I thought it was a smart waiver wire ad. So I got him pretty much everywhere. And so I'm probably how I look at Dynasty. I don't want to be somebody that holds a lot of stock of one player everywhere. That's just not how I see it. I don't like doing it. Anything can happen to any one player. So I kind of like to hover around max like 30% in my leagues of one share for one player. So I may do that for 3 or 4 leagues that I have and keep 2 or 3 shares and call it a day, and just playing the game that way. But yeah, if you have more than one if you just don't believe like Mike, you just don't believe that he's gonna actually end up with that gig, then now's the time to sell, right? So I completely understand that.
Can't be worse than Ben, right? So
that's my thing, right? Like he's gonna be better than Ben Roethlisberger was the last 2 years, in my opinion. He's got to be. Yeah,
even if he's turnover prone, like it's still fine for fantasy, right? Maybe Dynasty outlook won't be as great if he continues the fumble interceptions and all that kind of stuff. But hey, if he's scoring touchdowns and he's running, like he can't be mad at that, right?
Yeah. The one thing that does also kind of pique my interest with the whole kind of ordeal that happened with his signing in Pittsburgh was that he was linked very, very, very heavily with the Giants, and going back with Joe Shane and Dayball there. And I call them the New York Bills right now because they're just going and getting all their guys.
The whole front office,
Yeah. And they were really, really heavily linked. I'm a Giants fan, so every Giants beat reporter was coming out and saying Mitch Trubisky is a Giant. Like they're going out and they're getting him. So something happened where the Steelers told him, like something made a difference between that job and the job competing with Daniel Jones, because that was the idea, was to bring him in to compete with Daniel Jones.
They had to have told him, hey, it's your job. Like, it's not even a competition with. We know what Rudolph is and Haskins at this point. Like, come on. Like, I know Mitch is better than those two guys. Daniel Jones, I could see that as a legitimate competition.
They're the same, right?
Yeah. So I didn't like, from Mitch's perspective, I understand it. Like, hey, this is my chance to prove myself. Great city, great supporting cast. As far as receivers and running back and young tight end and stuff. So obviously the O-line needs work. So we'll see how that goes for Mitch. He's never seemed to have had one of those. So
we'll see if they pull a Dalton on him. Dalton was a starter and then Fields slipped.
Yeah,
sorry, bro.
Yeah, right.
That'll be interesting. Any other kind of cheap buys that you guys had in the offseason that kind of ended up in favorable landing spots? You got your Evan Ingrams and guys like that.
Ingram's a good one too, right? Just with the Jacksonville spending spree. I'm kind of higher on the Chase Edmonds signing than I think a lot of people are. I don't know. People feel like Raheem Mostert, who can't stay healthy and is pretty old, is some kind of big threat being signed, over a weekend. I don't think Edmonds needs the workhorse role, but we know what he was as a pass catcher with Kyler. I think that could go really well with two. I just feel like his skill set could be used really well. He could be, I guess it's kind of cliche, but he could be the Elijah Mitchell to, what they had going in San Francisco, and Mostert could be, more the pound guy. Like, I don't know. I just know I bought a lot of Edmonds for seconds at the end of last year. And before the injury, it worked out pretty well just with the target share alone that he was receiving. And when he got the full workload, it was intense. Now, bad news was he got injured when he got a full workload, but I don't think what backfields are getting full workloads these days? So I don't think it's a huge knock on him. And it's kind of exciting to see with the new coach and new regime, with the San Francisco connection, right? So.
Right. No, yeah, it could be a good spot. I think we kind of know what he is, but he's solid, right? Like you said, with his target share alone. So, who knows? Mostert may not even be the third string on that depth chart for all we know. You know, you got Gaskin, the corpse of Duke Johnson, right? So yeah, I mean, the Mostert signing, if anything, if I were a Chase Edmonds owner, I would have been, you know, pleased with that. Because maybe, you see, I don't know if Mostert even has the juice to, you know, sway them one way or another if they were going to draft one in the NFL draft or not. It's not like, you know, he's swinging the pendulum decision-wise one way or another. But yeah, I mean, Edmonds is what he is. If he's your RB4, then awesome. You know, he's a good depth piece. I guess off-season wise, I was just trying to gobble up the you know, the Jujus and Suttons of the world, just for, you know, yeah, Juju, Sutton, A-Rob, those types for these moments, you know, because either it's, hey, you got a value bump and deserves it, and I want to hold them, or, you know, here's a sell off. So it became a way to now be able to be flexible with them. So that's good. But it's wild how people, you know, come out of the woodwork now, right? And like after the fact, too late, offer you a crappy offer. or a couple months ago or like a month ago, they're coming after, sniffing around your Juju and A-Rob and stuff, trying to lowball you. It's like, come on, man.
Well, we talked when we started this podcast here, once we broke off, you know, from just the Patreon feed to Dynasty WarGames, you know, when we were doing a Dynasty trade calculator game, and Sutton was worth a 3rd round rookie pick.
That's crazy talk.
and I was just like, wow. And I got like 1 or 2 shares, but I couldn't get as many as I wanted. So, you know, I think people are all over, you know, Sutton and Judy now, obviously with Russ signing. But, yeah. I mean, good on you. I got a couple A-Rob shares. I got 1 Juju share, you know, on some rebuilds and stuff. You know, I'll take your injured guy. Here's a guy to help you continue competing. So I definitely like doing that at the end of the season.
So what are your guys' thoughts though on these Suttons and A-Robs of the world? Like, you know, way back in the day when Sutton was first starting out, you couldn't get him for a single first, right? It had to be a first plus something solid. He was looking good. Then all of a sudden everybody's left him for dead. And it's like Tim Patrick's, you know, stealing his lunch money, you know, Judy's the alpha there. And then last year with A-Rob, I don't think, and I'm not the only one who thinks this, I don't think his head was in it. It's like he didn't want to play football last year, but you have, you know, Mooney taking targets. So where's your head at? People, you know, this Dynasty community is very, very fickle, right? We play as if it's like a 2 to 3 year window. Yeah, right, man. We're making adjustments in our heads like minute by minute. But what do you guys think about that? I mean, they can still play football, right? They're still good football players.
Yeah. I actually had a conversation with somebody in one of my league chats about A-Rob today, and you know, they were saying that they thought A-Rob was done, that he hasn't done anything in years, or he didn't say years, but he said he hasn't done anything for a long time. And I was like, in 2020, this dude was like wide receiver 9. What's a long time for you guys?
As rock solid as a PPR wide receiver you could get for a couple of years.
Yeah. So it's just, I think it's just funny. I think everybody has these like really short-term memories on who these players are. And they get this small sample size, and it's very odd to me because you have so many, you know, kind of analytical heavy people in Dynasty now, right? And who are always preaching sample size. And they look at these players and they, for half a season, for 3/4 of a season, for 1 year, and they completely change their opinion on them. But yeah, I think it's insane. Sutton going for, I think, yeah, Mike, as you were alluding to earlier, DTC had him, I think, for, you know, 3 points. I'm not sure if you're familiar with their calculator or not. It was like 3 points or something, which is, you know, crazy. I think he's up to like 15 or 17 now or something around that range, which is crazy. I mean, you come and they're just mirroring the community, right? Like they're not saying he's worth 3 points. They're saying, you know, the community is saying he's worth 3 points. So if you can insert a quarterback and not double, not triple, not quadruple, but, you know, multiply this guy to the nth number, you know, and in value, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. So yeah, I mean, Sutton has always been a good player. He's had his, you know, kind of injury concerns a little bit. But I'm excited about both of them. I think Judy is one of the premier talents in the NFL. I thought that when he came in. I still think that. I think he's an extraordinary route runner, and I think he's going to do really, really, really well with Russell Wilson. So,
yeah, I mean, just for the little Broncos games that I did watch, because that offense was super painful. Like Judy kind of had an A-Rob vibe to me of, when Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater are throwing at their feet or throwing, 10 yards over his head when he's wide open. I mean, you could see his body language. It was almost like Kyler-esque, right? And obviously he's stoked that Russ is there, right? And Russ said at his press conference, like, "Hey, I'm gonna start throwing to these guys tomorrow." So, and then just with Sutton, he's not a free agent until 2026. Yep. They re-signed him. He had his, breakout year, and then he tore his ACL immediately after. And then obviously last year was just kind of a dumpster fire at QB, right? So, it's definitely too late to buy now. I wouldn't pay at the prices people are probably asking, like late first, maybe, but I'd rather take the chance and wait till the draft to see where some of these receivers fall.
I don't know. I agree with you on Sutton, right? Like I think that Sutton's a guy you can't buy right now. But maybe it's just how highly I think of Judy.
Which one's more expensive? Have you seen anything?
Judy's definitely more expensive.
Really? Okay.
But I think he could be had from certain people at that 107, 108 range. Which to me, I don't think is I mean, before the Russell Wilson trade, you could probably get him for around 110, I think. 111, maybe.
I got him for 112 before Wilson. You're talking about Judy, right?
Yeah, Judy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, and I mean that's great value, right? But I think he's kind of pushed into that, somewhere between 105 to 107, I think right now. At least that's what I would think. And I mean, I would rather have him over any 105 or 107 kind of player I'm thinking is going to go in this draft.
100%, man.
There's not a player I would take over him. I mean, I would say if Judy was in this class, I would probably take him maybe even 101, 102, depending on where the running backs go. I think he's that good. I don't see a huge difference in talent between him and Jalen Waddle or him and I think Chase is kind of.
I was gonna say I don't think he's Chase, but
yeah, that kind of Jalen Waddle tier. Which I mean, if Jalen Waddle, if are you giving a 101 for Jalen Waddle? I am.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's just where I sit as far as his value goes. He's a guy that I'm still trying to buy at the right price, of course. But
Hype trains left the station though.
Yeah.
Do you want to Cole McGregor here in the chat? Sent a message. He said, he said, did I miss you guys talking about DJ's Chark to the Lions and how it affects Amon-Ra St. Brown? So Chark got the 1-year deal, right? I just think it's good for Amon-Ra. So he's not the only guy here. I listened to the Late Round podcast, JJ Zachariason, he kind of talked about it today. Amon-Ra did a lot with, no Hawk and no Swift, but even when Swift came back at the end, like he still got it done at an elite level. Do I think he's elite personally? Like, no. But the thing is, like JJ mentioned, is people aren't paying like he's an elite, or they're not drafting him like he's, a top 12 wide receiver or anything like that. So I still think he's going, as long as he's going at a decent value, that's fine with me. But I have to admit, though, personally, I have no shares of Amon-Ra. If you're drafted that late as a wide receiver, generally, I just have first and second round picks and rookie drafts. Excuse me. So, so I don't know. What do you guys think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat, and he's got talent, but he's replaceable, right? Like he's a replaceable wide receiver. There's a million of them. I mean, Amon-Ra, he's way too expensive for what he should be, I think. He probably costs a little bit more than Sutton. People are going to want like a 108-ish for him or something, right? I don't even try. I don't have any shares myself. I probably would have sold him. But no, he's talented. He was getting a ton of targets and doing what he could with them. But I'm just not, going to sweat and chase Amon-Ra St. Brown. if he ends up being in a start 9, like a locked and loaded wide receiver 2, and I miss that, then so be it. I'll accept that miss, but no, he'll still be solid if he gets 7-8 targets at least.
Yeah, I like that they grabbed Chark. I think that it doesn't really affect Amon-Ra's value all too much because they just do different things. They're not playing the same role. I think Amon-Ra is still going to be doing a lot of similar things we saw late in the year. I'm not paying his price though, like you were saying. I mean, it's too much. It's too much. We saw, what was it, the last 5 or 6 games, I think was when he really turned it on, somewhere around there. And I mean, he looked really, really good, but I mean, it's too risky. What do you guys think people are asking for him right now? I remember earlier in the offseason, it was quite a bit.
I haven't poked around, but I can't imagine people selling for less than the 108, 107.
Yep.
Like
that's what I've seen. And one of my co-hosts said he was turned down a couple of times. He offered the 108 for Amon-Ra St. Brown. He doesn't even like him. He's just in like 50 leagues, so he just screws around.
Get one square. Get one share, right?
Get one share of him.
Wow.
But yeah, he's pricey. I mean, he's pricier than like Terry McLaurin right now. Is what he was running into.
That's insane. Insane.
I know. So I mean, I'd give a couple seconds for him, but I'm not going to give a first for Amon-Ra.
Yeah, I was just thinking,
even
like,
the 112 in this class.
I might not even give the 201 for him. I mean, I don't know. Like, I look at some of the guys you could possibly get at the 201 with good draft capital, like Sky Moore, and those kind of guys. And if Sky Moore ends up in the right place and you can get him at the 201, and he's going in the first round. He's got to, right? At this point. I mean, his value is kind of, I mean, in NFL circles, his value has kind of exploded since the combine. He's always been a player I liked. And I mean, I would rather have a safer player than a guy that, what was Amon-Ra drafted in, like the 4th round? Yeah. So a guy that,
people expected him to be in the 2nd, right? But he just fell.
Yeah, but I mean, he was taken in the 4th, and he's had 6 good games. Like, I'm not changing his value that drastically.
Exactly. That's my point too. Yeah.
Games.
Yeah. Andy's on the Lions. Like, he's got the Lions stink a little bit too. It's one thing if you were on like a really high powered offense that you're pumped about, and like you see a ton of touchdown upside. I don't know. I mean, we'll see what he ends up.
It reminds me too much. It reminds me too much of a guy that I tried to warn everybody about, which was Darius Slayton. It's that kind of thing. You have a guy coming out in the 4th round,
Preston Williams,
who looks good, mostly because of the situation. And he has and I would say even Darius Slayton probably had a like maybe not as big of an impact in a cluster, but over the course of the season was more consistent than Amon-Ra was. And people were really, really high on him, but I was like, like when Shepard was in that offense, when Sterling Shepard was in that offense, and what people think of him, people aren't very high on that guy. Sterling Shepard looked like the alpha in that offense. Like he made him look like a 4th or 5th string wide receiver. All the targets were going to Shep. Shep was getting separation on his routes. I mean, it was all just dependent on scheming wide receivers open, and he just happened to be the product of that, Darius Slayton. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to change somebody's value based off of 5 or 6 games. That much, that's 108, 109. That's crazy talk to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But yeah, Chark, I guess we got to talk about him a little bit, kind of an afterthought, but, do you guys have him in a lot of places or,
I just have him in 2 or 3. I mean, I was kind of higher on him last season with T-Law, and then just kind of wrote it out once he got the injury. I felt like it was kind of a lost season, so didn't really sell him anywhere. So, I just think it'll be good for Stafford. Gosh, Goff. But I'm definitely
apologize
not.
to Matt Stafford immediately.
But I mean, I'm definitely not. I'm not going to buy Chark anywhere too because I feel like this is what happens every year, right? Is somebody just gets excited with the landing spot, and you can spin a narrative for almost any free agent that signs anywhere. That's why I'm okay buying, especially injured guys that are going into free agency. It doesn't matter what injury they had, unless it was a late ACL or something like that. But most of the time, it doesn't matter because if they sign somewhere, somebody's going to get excited. And then even when people are franchise tagged, they're still excited because then they say, oh, well, they're in the same offense, right? So, I don't know what you think, but I'd either use it as a selling opportunity, but I very, very rarely buy free agents, especially wide receivers moving to new teams. I haven't seen a whole lot that have been truly elite game changers, but I'm sure Adams will. Devonta Adams.
Yeah, he's
crush
Devonta
that. He'll crush that one. So he'll crush
Devonta
that
Adams.
myth, but that's because he's Adams. So
yeah, we'll see. I mean, if I were selling them, I guess I would, just do a re-roll and sell them for maybe if it's like the 204, 205, 6-ish, something like that, whatever, just reloading and just draft somebody else, start over. And I wouldn't be buying him unless he's like put into a package. And I don't want him to be considered to be worth very much in that package. It's like, you're doing me a solid by throwing in DJ Chark, but you're not charging anything for him, right? That kind of thing.
He's just the get the deal done piece, right? Like, let's make it happen, which I don't think many people are going to do just because. So I played Dynasty since I was 12 with my dad. And
how old are you, Chad?
Yeah, don't worry about it. And one
Dynasty
of the
was around that many years ago.
And one of
he did it on stone, man. That was his first draft, was etched into stone.
So my dad used to always tell me, take advantage of other Dynasty players because they like new shiny things. But what I've come to realize is that Dynasty players don't like new shiny things. They like new things. Doesn't matter if it's shiny or not, right? And Chark is just a new thing. He's not. He's just the old rusty new thing. And everybody seems to kind of want those kind of guys as soon as they change hands because the possibilities open up. Somebody loved Chark when he came out. Somebody loved Chark when he produced well that 1 year. What was it? His first year or second year? That he did really well.
I want to say it was his
first
second
year.
year.
Yeah. It wasn't his first year in the league.
I think it was his second year. Yeah. But yeah, after that year, he had a lot of hype going about, and some people in the back of their mind, they still want to believe that they were right. And so people are willing to pay for him. If you can get, the 202, 203, I'm taking it. I mean, I made a mistake. I made a mistake last offseason, or not last offseason, the first week. Jerry Sinclair, some of you guys might know him. DJ Chark.
He loves Chark, right?
Yes, loves Chark.
Yeah.
And DJ Chark came out in that first week with Trevor. And I remember this because it was a gigantic mistake. Trevor threw the ball to him 12 times. He had 12 targets week one. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I think he had 2 receptions, but I was like, score. I don't care about the receptions. I care about the targets, right? Like this Trevor's first game, he's going to come good. And Chark is going to still see those targets, and they're going to get this connection going, right? And he offered me a first-round pick for him, and I was like, are you crazy? Like, no, throw in a second, and we'll get it done. And I think he was like, no, I want him, but, the first is kind of where I'm at. And, God, it was all downhill from there, right? So,
he's always kind of getting banged up. He's a big guy, very fast, but he's one of those guys that's always going to be a little bit banged up, and like you're holding your breath and then you get disappointed.
Yeah.
By the Chark.
And maybe in an alternate reality, Trevor is throwing 5,000 yards right now and DJ Chark is MVP. But unfortunately, that was
not in the
part
multiverse.
Of the multiverse.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah. Who else do we have here? You guys thinking of any other players you want to talk about?
I guess, are we going to get to the Devonta Adams?
Yes,
is that
the big
that
one
later in the WarGames?
No, let's do that one right now. Actually, Devonta Adams. So yes, wild scenes where we see Devonta Adams go over to the Las Vegas Raiders paired with Derek Carr, his longtime bestie apparently, and they're gonna light up the league apparently. So, where are you guys at with that?
I hate it. Mike. As a Broncos fan, I hate it. Right. So, and I don't know. I was just completely blown away. I was like, there's no way Rodgers and Adams are going to be separated. To see him get the amount of money that he's getting, it's like, what is it, 26 or 28 million a season? I want to say.
Wasn't it like pretty much a 3-year though? It's like disguised as a 5, but it's really
yeah.
So I mean, that's how all of them are.
He's getting big boy money.
He's making more than Russ this year, man.
Right.
So I mean, hey, good for him. He's gonna be playing indoors. He doesn't have to worry about Green Bay anymore. Half of his division games are gonna be in domes because he'll be playing in LA and at home. So I mean, overall, right? Like I guess at the end of the day, if he had to go somewhere, besides the Chargers or something like that, or a place with an elite quarterback, like that was probably best case scenario. But I just hated it for Rodgers because and Mike Kinney says 28.25 per year. I just hate it for Rodgers. I don't know. He's always wanted a number 2, and now he's got a lot of nothing. Season. So it's Lazard and
MVS.
Cobb and what's his name coming back to tight end? Tanya coming back from an injury. So Aaron Jones, baby, like let's get that 100 reception season. So
yeah, I mean it's funny because the sleeper alerts come through, and I had like literally maybe 15 seconds before the news broke, drafted Waller in a startup, and I was like, yeah, Waller's gonna go right back into 17 targets a game. And then I see Devonta Adams come through, and I don't think that like crushes Waller or whatnot. But one thing about Devonta Adams, he's still, you guys obviously agree, he's still a beast, right? He's such a beast. He's gonna demand targets, and Carr is, he might be side boob, but he's, he still has value. He's still a solid quarterback who can get him the football. It'll be interesting to see, some big moves, man. It was surprising. Yeah. My initial reaction with Devontae was gross as well, him going to Vegas, but it was more so just because it made me think of Aaron Rodgers, and I don't want to think about Aaron Rodgers, so that's why it was gross. I don't want my mind to go back to that guy anymore.
Can't wait for those press conferences when it's scored like 10 points a game, and he's just like, yeah, like me.
I'm extremely excited. I have so many Carr shares. That's been my overall dynasty strategy. Was acquired David Carr. Derek Carr. David Carr. Gosh. Not David Carr. Derek Carr. Definitely Derek Carr.
I don't even know who you're getting.
You're brushing your teeth in the morning. How am I going to get a Carr share today?
Yeah, I mean, that was the game plan in every league I have, right? Like that was the only guy I was just breaking my 30% rule for because he's so cheap everywhere. Like I was getting him for, I guess, like 201 equivalents and 112 equivalents, and I'm like, man,
he's like Cousins, but even a cheaper Cousins.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he's a little bit cheaper than Cousins and like similar, I guess. So yeah.
And I would argue that this move could inch him towards QB1 relevancy. Like I seriously think it could. I would not be shocked if he finishes, 108. If he finishes QB8 or QB9, I wouldn't be shocked. I think it probably more realistically somewhere around QB11, QB12, anywhere around that range, where Cousins usually finishes. But yeah,
why couldn't they send Edwards to Green Bay though? Seriously.
Yeah.
Why couldn't he have been included in that?
Maybe they didn't want him, right? Maybe they were we're good with MVS,
it'll be interesting though overall, right? Because Josh McDaniels coach there now. So, Adams, Renfro, Waller, Jacobs.
That's an offense.
Edwards, which everyone's waiting for, right? Like these AFC West teams, man. Like it's going to be interesting. Interesting.
I think I posted this in the Patreon chat, but I was in the DWZ Patreon chat. If you're not there, get there. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think just how much the Chiefs and their offensive dominance has really pushed this league forward as far as offense is concerned, because everybody is just trying to catch them, and it's nonstop. We've seen it with the Rams, we've seen it with now the Raiders, we've seen it with the Chargers, and everybody is really reloading every single year to try to keep up. Of course, there are your I guess dummies in the league like Green Bay, who just I don't know what they're doing.
Sit back and see what happens, right?
Yeah, they'll go ahead and draft a quarterback in the.
If they use that first round pick on a quarterback, I would be so happy. That would just crack me up.
Quarterback, running back, lock it in.
Just want to lose at home in the playoffs again. They just,
Yeah, exactly.
I think they secretly really just hate Rodgers, and they brought him back just to like make him lose. They're like, yeah, we'll sell everybody and we'll just bomb the franchise with Rodgers there. Maybe they'll blame him, ruin his legacy. I don't know.
Oh man, that'd be so funny.
But yeah, so Clay, you're doing a lot of really cool things. Over with your Pandemic app and your YouTube channel and everything. Tell us a little bit about that stuff.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. So yeah, it's Dynasty Pandemic is the name of the website and the app. Essentially, what it is, it's a Dynasty community. Where we support the existing content creators like DWZ, Memphis, of course, Jerry, but also try to give a platform for the little guy or the little girl. Someone who's an aspiring content creator and wants to get their brand out there and post on the site. There's other cool features too, where you can participate in trade polls. We have rankings up there. If you want to see my rankings, who knows where I updated them last. But the main feature of the site and the app is strictly a chatter. So you're used to the GroupMe, the DWZ Patreon GroupMe. Dynasty Pandemic app, you can get it Apple, Android. It's essentially the same thing. Let's say I was inspired by GroupMe. Think you'd like the app, and hey, if you need a spot to ask trade questions and whatnot, and it's a circle of trust where there's none of your DWZ members in there, then check it out. It's a pretty cool app. And then yeah, we have a YouTube show too. It's called Dynasty Trades in 5. My co-hosts are Shane Manila from Dynasty Trades HQ and Scott Connor from Dynasty and Chill. So we've done like 100 and yeah, check it out. We just did one on Chase Edmonds too. It's funny you brought him up. We'll see what you think. But yeah, we just started late October, something like that, and we've pounded out like 107 episodes, something ridiculous. We cover individual player profiles. We do strategy shows. Like we've done a couple on startup strategy and whatnot, why we're obsessed with 23 picks, and then we have shows where we do just straight trades, where I just come up with a bunch of different trades and we say which side would you take. So check it out, Dynasty Trades in 5 on YouTube.
Sweet. Yeah, I haven't seen any content. Yeah,
Thanks,
I haven't seen any content.
Yeah,
yet,
check it out.
And
check out the
excited.
playlist, man. You can like sort by the. We've done most players at this point. We're like trying to figure out who we haven't done, but yeah, we've got a couple crappy ones in there where we're like, oh wait, we were gonna give a 23 first for Darrell Henderson. Whoopsie.
Delete.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm
it's
just
like
playing. Yeah,
we're gonna do a check the receipts series where we go back through our past videos and see who we were dead wrong on, or it's funny, man. In the comments, like some of the comments you get, people love to troll hard on YouTube, man. I spend like an hour a day going through the YouTube comments.
Well, that's awesome, man. If you ever need a guest I love talking trade stuff. So even if just to listen, Scott's someone that I've listened to for a long time. I really like where his strategy and stuff comes from. I'm a regular.
He's a
for
monster.
Dynasty and Chill. So yeah, no, that's really awesome, man. I'm subscribed, so there you go. I'm checking it out.
Do some binging. I just dropped one today on trading in startups. So check it out. Startup season.
Nice. Yeah, we matter of fact, you got 2 startups going on right now, don't you?
Yeah, I'm on the clock at 2 of them, and I like keep seeing my sleeper it's 63 notifications now. It's like, all right, chill, guys. Like, we have lives. There's
You're that
8-hour
guy.
timers.
You're that
Hey,
guy.
I'm kind
Where
of a
they're like,
big
it's
deal.
Friday
I'm on a
night. They
live
know you're
stream,
not doing anything. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I've been trying to avoid startups like the plague. I think I've gotten like 10 invites so far this year, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Of course, Mike talked us into one of them, which we're about to raffle off here. It's actually a really, really, really exciting league. It has a lot of the Dynasty Warzone contributors in there, and yeah, we're gonna have fun. It's a best ball league, so that we can, allot our time
Dynasty.
accordingly.
Yeah. It's like a cat. You get a cat instead of a dog because cats can kind of take care of themselves.
Exactly.
That was the point. Yeah, no, because I'm in the same boat. Like I have, besides the one that Chad basically broke both of my hands and hogtied me and threw me in a van in to get into a contract dynasty league. Like
it's I don't know if you've heard of RSO, but it's a contract
gosh.
salary cap league, and yeah,
I
a
don't
lot
want
of
to do
fun.
it at
Very
all.
very time consuming. And Mike
That's
was
the
forced
last
into
thing
it.
I need.
Yeah, I know.
So,
yeah, how about a Debbie contract thing somehow, right?
Yeah,
I know.
Let's find a way to
include
make
high
that
schoolers,
possible.
like
campus to Canton contract.
middle school, yeah. And
I would put on 40 pounds. I'd lose my wife. I'd lose my children.
yeah,
I
I mean, I got out of my only Devi league because I was like, man, I still listen to a lot of Devi stuff, but I just can't. I can't. Right now. But this league, so I mean, just kind of, is it all right if I kind of transition into it and we pull these last couple
let's
names
raffle these
out?
things off, man.
Yeah. So the theme of the league, the name of the league is DWZ Aces, because like I said, we have a lot of the content creators as far as Chad, Jesse, Memphis, Kyle, well, a couple of Kyles, Kyle Balzer, Kyle FF, right, and we got Neil and Jerry. So lots of really good creators, and so this is going to be a best ball league, right? So it's start like 1 quarterback, 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and 5 flex and a super flex. So it's going to be real deep.
Nice.
So it's going to be pretty much, it's going to be the startup and trading, and then it's best ball. So little management, just go in there and kind of, see what trades you can do, I guess, right, in season, and it's going to need to be deep. But so we got 3 spots left. So the ones that reached out to me were Felaber, if I said that right, Felaber. Yeah, there we go. Andy Robinson, Will Huppert, Stacy Freeze, but he changed the way he spelled it. Freeze, and Chris Stroud. So we got 3 spots left. We got 5 names that wanted it. So I put it into a random name picker. We'll see how this works. Pick a random name. So the first one is... Oh, this is taking too long, guys. What the heck? Uh-oh. I'm going to have to find a new one because it didn't even do anything.
All right, we'll
Jeez, that was terrible.
Plan B. We will record Mike.
Wait, are we live?
Fixing himself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We'll record Mike fixing himself, and then
fail.
and getting this thing up and going, and then we'll post it in the Patreon chat because everybody that was able to apply for the league are Patreon members. If you're not a Patreon member, this is the kind of fun stuff that you're missing out on. So become a Patreon member. Very cheap. $5 a month. Just do it. I mean, you spend that on, your kind of throwaway leagues times 3 or 4, right? So just do it. Great advice, great people, very much like-minded people. And Clay, you're there. Mike's there. I'm there. Memphis, Jerry, Kyle's, plural. Dallas, everybody's there. And everybody chats. So yeah, meet us there. And Clay, thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it.
It was fun, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was good talking to you again, Clay. I'm definitely going to check out your stuff. So
likewise. Chad sends out I'll give you this. Chad sends out really good, thoughtful offers. I'll tell you, I get some crappy trade offers in leagues. Chad sends good offers. We actually just did the CeeDee Lamb 101 trade the other day. So I just wanted to say publicly live, thank you, Chad.
I appreciate it. I take pride in it. I feel like, you build relationships with people, and maybe you get some trades done where, they might not make it otherwise. It's happened. It's happened. So I appreciate that, Clay. And you're also a very, very good trader, well-mannered trader. So I appreciate it. But yeah, guys, thanks for joining us here at the War Games. And catch us next week. We'll be back doing the same old thing, same old people. For myself, Mike, and Clay, catch you next time.
All right. Thanks, guys.